Okay, so now let's take a look at some of the pieces or the structure that works within short-term memory. So when we take a look at this, when we take a look at the, what is available for us in short-term memory, we can see that right at the top we have this central executive. That central executive is very much the boss. So as the name implies, it's the one that's in charge. And then these three other processes that are below it are being controlled by the central executive. And we can see that they have descriptive names, and so they each kind of have their own purpose, their own job, and so they're very complementary to each other. There's the visual spatial sketchpad, and the key term here is obviously the visual part, so it does a lot with looking at objects, redrawing objects from memory, as well as spatial layouts. And that includes also our ability to interact with our environment. For example, if you are going to drive, you probably know by memory how to turn on the blinker, right, to make a right turn. The visual spatial takes care of that as well. In addition to like redrawing objects from memory, there's this episodic buffer, and as in our episodic memories, the episodic buffer sort of is our sequence, the sequence of our experiences, and kind of keeps things for us in terms of like, okay, what did I just do? What am I going to do next? And then of course the phonological loop. Phonological sounds musical to you. That is good. It'll help you remember that a little bit. Phonological, it is exactly what it sounds like. It is processing information based on sound. So these three pieces of working memory process information sort of in their own way, so either visually, spatially, or based on sound in the case of the phonological loop, and then of course keeping track of what have we done, what are we going to do next, and what are we doing now. So let's take a look at these guys. And we're going to, in particular, focus on the visual spatial sketchpad and the phonological loop. So we can see here on the left that the visual spatial sketchpad has the two components, the part that sort of stores visual information. If I look at something like a car that drives past, I can sort of keep it in memory a little bit. So it's going to store information like that. But it can also, perhaps at a later date, draw that car from memory, and that would be something that the inner scribe might do for us. The phonological loop, in contrast, has the ability to process things based on sound, and so it can store a sound and it can sort of create it from memory by replaying it for us. The central executive is again the boss. It's the one that's in control here. And to be a boss, it has to be able to plan and set goals. So it's the one that's sort of aware of what our purpose is. It's going to select and launch responses that's going to help us meet those goals and objectives. It's going to resist falling into habit or routine. So it's going to be the one that kind of kicks in and says, hey, don't do this in an automatic way. Do this in a way that's going to actually work for you if an automatic process is not the right solution at that moment. It also searches long-term memory for relevant information to help you accomplish what you want to do. So it's definitely the one that's sort of in charge and keeping us on task and using the resources and deciding which resources to use. So the central executive is a very important function, right? It's the one that allows us to stay on task and accomplish things and keep track of things. And so it's one of the components here that is very important, and as a result there's actually a test for it, the paced auditory serial addition task. And so we're going to do that right now very briefly. You're going to hear a series of numbers. They're going to be 3 seconds apart, so just a series of numbers. All you do is you add each number to the one before it, and then you say the answer to yourself. Okay, so for example, if the first 2 digits are 3, 5, then you would tell yourself 8, because 3 plus 5 is 8. The next number then is going to be 2. And so what you do then is you add up 2 to 5, and you would tell yourself that the answer here is 7, for example. So that's how it works. And so you add up the 2 numbers and you say the answer to yourself. So here we go.
2, 3, 7, 3, 5, 6, 7, 1, 1, 9, 2, 4.
Okay, now we're going to look at the answers as we go through it, just to get a good understanding of this.
2, 3,
So 2 plus 3 is 5, so you would say 5.
7,
And then you remember that the previous number was 3, plus 7 would be 10,
3,
and so on. 7 plus 3 is 10,
5,
5 plus 3 is 8,
6,
5 plus 6 is 11, and so on.
7, 1.
And so the PASSAT test is a good indication of a person's ability to keep on task, to retrieve relevant information that they need to complete the task, and to, in a sense, be able to ignore irrelevant information, because you have to essentially ignore the answer that you just gave to be able to do this.